The Death Grip Incident, USA. Just one loose finger and 315 pounds of steel became a death sentence. At a gym in Ankeny, Iowa, the music was pounding. The sound of weights hitting each other was loud. Amidst the crowd of people working out enthusiastically, a 22-year-old college student was about to try his hand at the heaviest weight of his life. He placed 315 pounds on the bar, took a deep breath, and lay down on the bench. Instead of holding it firmly in the usual way, he decided to try a death grip, removing his thumb to focus on pushing harder. For him, this was just a small experiment, a habit that many people in the gym whispered about. As soon as the bar left the rack, his hands trembled slightly. Cold sweat covered his palms. Just a small gap, and his grip began to lose control. Suddenly, the 315 pounds bar slipped from his hands. It landed squarely on his jaw, neck, and chest. The deafening crash silenced the gym. He was motionless, his breathing ragged and then choked. Spotter and others rushed over, pulling the bar out. Blood, screams, desperate attempts to call an ambulance. He was rushed to the hospital, but his internal injuries were too severe. Doctors could not save him. Friends and coaches later said he was a disciplined exerciser, not reckless. The accident happened in a split second. One wrong grip choice, and a life was taken. In the gym, sometimes it is not recklessness, but a moment of carelessness that can end it all. The Leg Press Incident, India. One wrong press, and more than 1,000 pounds of steel crushed his legs. At a gym in Vadodara, India, the middle-aged man walked in, ready for a workout like any other day. He worked his way through several machines, sweat soaking his shirt, and finally stopped at the leg press, the machine that tested his leg strength. He started loading 45 pounds plates onto the machine. 1, 2, 3, until both sides were full. More than 1,000 pounds of steel. He sat down, leaned back in the chair, and placed his feet on the pedals. At first, everything went smoothly. His legs were still strong enough to push the heavy weights up and down. But then it was time to lock the machine. He struggled to turn the safety lever. His legs trembled. His knees began to wobble. A metallic screech sounded, as if something bad was about to happen. In an instant, his legs were bent backwards. Crack! A terrible sound, like a tree branch being broken. The entire joint of his left leg was bent backwards, the bone exposed under the skin. He screamed in pain, his screams causing chaos in the gym. People around him rushed to help, trying to lift the dumbbells. He was rushed to the emergency room immediately. Fortunately, despite his severely broken and deformed legs, he survived. But his body was permanently disabled, a bitter reminder of the fateful training session. Just one ego lifting, trying to prove his strength, and the price he paid was his legs forever damaged. The Dumbbell Incident, India, 2022. A gym, 3 strangers, and a dumbbell that turned into a deadly weapon. Late at night, in a small gym in Medpally, Telangana. All the customers had left. Only the light clanging of steel remained as the 3-4-year-old owner and trainer cleaned up the gym, the place he had built with sweat and passion. The door swung open. 3 men entered, not to train. They approached. Words exchanged. At first, it was just an argument, a seemingly personal conflict. But the atmosphere quickly turned somber. Voices became harsh. Hands tightened around the barbell. Pulses tensed. The air thick. Then suddenly, a 50-pound dumbbell hit him square in the face. Bones shattered. He fell, but the attackers did not stop. They continued to pound his chest with the weights, each blow heavy, each a slash of steel on his fragile body. The entire gym, once a training ground, now turned into a bloody battlefield. He was taken to a nearby hospital, but his injuries were too severe. Doctors tried their best, but he did not survive. Security cameras recorded the entire incident, helping the police track down the perpetrator. The motive is said to have come from a personal grudge, so petty that it is not worth exchanging human life. A gym, a place to train health, became the grave of its founder. And sometimes, the killer is not the barbell, but the hatred hidden in the hands holding it. The molten steel incident. In a Chinese steel mill in 2014, where temperatures are often beyond human endurance, streams of red-hot molten metal flow like rivers of fire. For the workers there, it's just another day at work, a game of tag with lava for a meager wage. The 3-4-year-old worker enters his shift as usual. He moves between furnaces, cranes, and giant steel vats. Familiar with the routine, he thinks that if he is careful, nothing will happen. A wrong step. The steel floor vibrates under his safety boots. He teeters on the edge of a steel tank boiling at more than 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Sparks fly. The screeching sound of metal warns of impending disaster. In an instant, his body plummets. No cry for help, no chance to struggle. The entire body was swallowed by the molten steel and burned instantly. Flesh, bones, blood, all gone in an instant. His colleagues were stunned, watching helplessly. There was no way to save him, and no body to retrieve. When the steel tank cooled, what remained of him had completely dissolved into the metal, gone forever, as if he had never existed. In the industrial world, just one misstep can wipe out an entire person. Where fire and steel rule, there is not always a second chance. The Scaffold Incident. A noisy construction site in India in 2019. Above, the scaffolding shook under the weight of dozens of workers. They were used to the sound of hammers, drills, and the precariousness of being in midair. But familiarity does not mean safety. The young worker climbed to the upper floor, moving over shaky wooden planks and steel bars. For him, it was just a normal work day. Like any other day, just need to finish the job, then go home to his family. Suddenly, a cracking sound rang out. A joint of the scaffolding loosened. The steel bent, the wooden planks cracked. The entire structure shook violently. Hands frantically clung to it. Eyes panicked. All signs of impending disaster. The scaffolding collapsed. The worker was thrown off, falling straight onto the pile of sharp steel below. Bang! The iron bar pierced his face, pierced his head. Blood spurted out. He was still gasping for breath, eyes wide open in panic and pain. His colleagues rushed in panic, using pliers and a hacksaw to try to rescue him. But each cut made more blood flow. His body quickly turned cold. His pulse stopped. In the middle of the bustling construction site, an eerie silence prevailed. A loose screw, a weak weld, enough to take a human life. On scaffolding, mistakes are not measured in inches, but in lives.